want you to hit your head. Also, if we bump into anything, you could fall overboard, and that's a lot of unnecessary paperwork I don't want to deal with today. Keep your hands and arms inside the boat at all times. I do want you to come back in one piece. No smoking, vaping, or use of any tobacco products while on the boat. And last but not least, we do have life jackets back here in the hatch next to me. In the event that we do find ourselves sinking, the water's only about 4 to 5 feet deep in most places. You could just stand up and walk out. All right, to start off our tour, this little footbridge right here is called the Robert Hugman Bridge, dedicated to the father of our Riverwalk, Robert Hugman. But it's commonly referred to as Selena's Bridge because it was featured in the movie Selena starring Jennifer Lopez in 1997. Over here on my right-hand side, this white building with the arch windows is the Macara Hotel. The Macara Hotel was previously the L. Frank Saddlery Company that opened up in 1901 here on the river. They saddled Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders, Pancho Villa, as well as the U.S., French, and British forces during World War I, and quickly made it the world's largest saddlery company by 1918. Right here on my left-hand side, we have La Mansion. La Mansion was previously the St. Mary's School for Boys that opened up in 1853. In 1966, two of its former students purchased the property and turned it into La Mansion just in time for the World's Fair in 1968. It's actually one of my favorite buildings here on the Riverwalk. I love the Spanish style with the wrought iron balconies. Kind of looks like a Spanish mansion, so the name fits it. All right, as we come out from underneath this bridge here, you're going to look up to my left-hand side. You'll see what looks to be like a freestanding wall. So ready? And look up to my left, all the way up towards the sky on my left-hand side here. This is an optical illusion. This is the Nix Hospital. The Nix Hospital opened up in 1930. Was the first fully air-conditioned full-service hospital in the United States. Carol Burnett and Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North were both born here, and up until this past September, it still functioned as a hospital. So from my understanding, they're turning it into a hotel, which is going to be pretty interesting considering that it was a hospital for nearly 100 years. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's definitely going to be haunted, but it's going to be a fun place to stay, right? If you look directly ahead of us, this white building here is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. The Hyatt Regency Hotel was built in 1981 and stands at only 16 stories tall. The reason for this is because we have a city ordinance here in San Antonio that prevents any buildings from casting a shadow onto the Alamo. So the original plans for the Hyatt were for it to be 21 stories, but they had to stop at 16. Also, if you're looking for quick access to the Alamo from the Riverwalk, you can find it right here. You can take either side of these double glass doors here at the Hyatt. It takes you on a passage up through the lobby of the hotel and puts you directly in front of the Alamo. It's literally across the street on the other side of the building. Over here on my right-hand side, this pinkish colored building here, this is the Casino Club building. The Casino Club building was built in 1927 as a social club for German immigrants, which is the actual true meaning of casino, is a social gathering. So we never use of a casino as what we think of as a casino today for gambling, but only as a place of social gathering. So in the 1940s, Thomas Gilcrease from Tulsa, Oklahoma purchased the property and used it to store his Western art collection. When he went back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, he took his Western art collection with him and left the building empty for many years. In the 1970s, it was converted into apartments, and Alex Haley, the author of Roots, resigned it there.
That's where I ate yesterday.
Over here on my right-hand side, this white building with the fire escape is the Clifford building. The Clifford building was previously the Riverside building that opened up in the late 1800s. When it reopened as the Clifford building in 1941, Robert Hugman placed his offices at river level of the building to prove to other businesses that it was safe to have their business on the Riverwalk without fear of flooding, and he was right. Robert Hugman was very instrumental in the development of the Riverwalk, and without him, we would not have it today. There's actually a bust of Robert Hugman over here on my right-hand side next to the Commerce Street Bridge. It has a little more historical information about it if you're interested. Over here on my right-hand side, we have Casa Rio. Casa Rio is the oldest restaurant on the Riverwalk. They opened up in 1946, started off almost as a little shack over there next to the Market Street Bridge, and have grown and expanded over the years into what they are now. So this whole building here is Casa Rio. Casa Rio is family-owned and operated and has been since the day they opened in 1946, which is almost unheard of here in San Antonio, so they must be doing something right. I do know they have really good food, so I'm going to assume it's probably the something right. All right, as we make this turn here, if you look up to my left-hand side, you'll see that enchilada red sculpture there. That is the Torch of Friendship. The Torch of Friendship was given to us by Mexico in 2002 to commemorate the French between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, done by Mexican artist Sebastian. Alright, this part of the river we just entered into is the man-made river extension of the river. One of the two parts of the river that is man-made. It was built in 1968 for the World Fair to help carry fairgoers back and forth between the fairgrounds and the hotel. This part of the river is only about 3 to 4 feet deep and has a cement bottom. Alright, I don't know if you guys noticed the different designs of all our boats. The overall theme for our design is called Papel Picado, which is a Mexican pulp art with paper. The design of the boat that you're on right now is our military design. We also have a sun design, a dove design, a missions design, and my favorite is the tricentennial design, which was done to commemorate San Antonio's 300th birthday, which we celebrated the year before last. And the boats come in 5 different colors. Hey, if you look ahead of us, just to my left, you'll see the Marriott River Center. The Marriott River Center was built in 1988 and sits on the previous site of the Fairmont Hotel. The Fairmont Hotel had been built in 1906 and was designated as a historic landmark, so they could not tear it down. Instead, they moved it to the corner of South Alamo and Nueva Street. This took about 6 days, and it made it into the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest building through City Street on pneumatic tires. Over here on my right-hand side, we have the Tower of Americas. The Tower of Americas was built in 1968 as a theme for the World's Fair. At 750 feet high, at the time, it was the tallest freestanding observation deck in the United States. It lost that title, though, in 1996 when they opened up the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. There's 952 stairs inside the Tower of Americas. Takes about 15 minutes to climb, and our record stands at 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Not sure if that person made it back down, but if you're not interested in taking the stairs, you can always take the elevator. Nobody will think any less of you. Alright, so this next part of the river we're entering into is the mall extension of the river. It wasn't built till 1988, a full 20 years after the rest of the river extension. I'll tell you why here in just a moment. As we finish coming around the corner though, if you look over here on my right hand side, you'll see we have another loading dock. This is our River Center location. At this location, we have a retail shop where you can purchase tickets, gifts, snacks, drinks to go, as well as margaritas to go. I used to work in the retail shop before I became a boat captain, and we got to taste test those margaritas before we opened up the shop. And those things are pretty amazing. I don't even like margaritas, let alone to drink, because those things are really good. So if you find yourself over in this area, want a nice frozen alcoholic beverage to go, come get one from our shop. We also have ices as well if you want something with no alcohol in it. I prefer those over the margaritas any day. All right, we're now entering into the shops at River Center. The shops at River Center was built in 1988. Is the reason why they built the mall extension of the river. It's the second largest mall here in San Antonio. It's 1 million square feet, 68,000 square feet of glass, over 100 retailers, 6 restaurants on the Riverwalk, as well as a food court inside, and 2 movie theaters, the AMC and the IMAX. The IMAX currently holds the record for longest featured film. Alamo, The Price of Freedom, has been featured at the IMAX for over 30 years. So if you grew up in Texas in the last 30 years and never did a field trip to San Antonio while you were in school, you've probably seen Alamo, The Price of Freedom. I saw it when I was 9. When I was a kid, it was kind of mandatory. If you came to visit the city, you had to see the movie. It's actually a really good movie, very historically accurate. So if you're into the history of the Alamo, I highly recommend to go check it out. Whew. Alright, I don't know if y'all seen any of the fruit trees along the Riverwalk. We have them all the way up to the Pearl District and back down south towards the Mission Reach. This one coming up here on my right-hand side is an orange tree. As we go underneath it, if you look up, you'll see some baby oranges up in the branches there. There's also a lemon tree just past this footbridge, also on my right-hand side. Gotta sit down, please. Gotta sit down, please. Thank you. So this lemon tree produces the largest lemons I've ever seen in my life. I actually fished one out of the river not too terribly long ago. This thing was like this big, huge lemon. And then I found out this is called a Myers lemon tree. Those lemon trees that produce those large lemons like that. Sir, you do need to put your mask on. You guys need to put your mask on, please. Thank you. All right, we also have a pomegranate tree at the entrance to this portion of the river. We also have banana trees, palm trees, mulberry trees, fig trees, kumquats, all different types of fruit trees all over the Riverwalk. As we come around the corner here, you're going to look up to my right-hand side. You'll see this statue of St. Anthony de Padua there at sidewalk level. That statue was given to us by Portugal for the 1968 World Fair. St. Anthony de Padua is the patron saint of small children and lost items. He's also the saint that San Antonio is named after. Over on my right-hand side, once again, we have the steeple of St. Joseph's Catholic Church peeking through the trees there. St. Joseph's Catholic Church was built in 1868 by a German community that wanted a place of worship in their native language. It was the first church built after the fall of the Alamo and wasn't fully completed until 1902 when they got their stained glass windows. Today they still have Mass there every Sunday, and once a month they have an all-male choir called the Liederkranz that comes and sings their hymns in German. Over here on my left-hand side, you'll see the Hilton Palacio del Rio, or the Palace of the River. It took me forever to learn how to say that right. The Hilton Palacio del Rio was built in 1968 for the World's Fair, and at the time was the fastest built hotel in the world. They did it in 202 working days, and which is approximately 7 months. They built the first 4 floors here on site. The remaining 500 rooms they had built at a location 8 miles south of here. They had each room fully furnished and stocked, and then trucked over here and stacked like Legos. When they first started stacking the rooms, they were stacking about 4 to 5 a day. By the time they completed construction, they had been stacking 35 rooms a day. All they had to do was connect the water and electricity, and the building was ready to go. They actually completed construction approximately 48 hours before the start of the World's Fair. Those rooms were already divvied out before the building was even completed. A lot of people didn't think the Hilton Palacio del Rio was going to last very long because of how quickly it was built and in the manner in which it was built. But here we are, 52 years later, and the building still stands strong. So either good construction or good maintenance, more than likely both. As we come around the corner here and past this bridge, let's get out of the man-made here. You're going to get a much better view of the Hilton Palacio del Rio, get a better idea of how big the building really is, and you'll see the first 4 floors are completely different than the rest of the floors in the building. Alright, over here on my right-hand side, we have another loading dock. This is our Historia location. At this location, you can purchase tickets as well as drinks to go, but they don't have margaritas or ices, so they're not as cool as the River Center or where I put you guys up at. They do have beer though, so I guess it does count for something, right? Can't go wrong with beer. Smoke table captains as well. Alright, if you look ahead of us just to my left, you'll see La Vita. La Vita, or the Little Village, was first settled by Spanish soldiers in 1722 that were here to protect the Alamo. In 1836, Santa Ana used it as a staging point for its cannon line during the Battle of the Alamo. In the mid-1800s, it was resettled by German and French immigrants, and in the early 1900s, it was founded as a historic arts village, which it remains as today. So you can find lots of galleries and shops, as well as some fine dining restaurants inside La Vita. Very quaint little shopping area. All right, we're now entering into the Arneson Theater. The Arneson Theater was built in 1941, seats about 800 people. On my right-hand side is the stage. At the back of the stage are 5 bells. Each one of the bells, those bells represents one of our San Antonio missions. Those bells were placed there in dedication to Robert Husband, the father of our Riverwalk. This little footbridge right here is called Rosita's Bridge. Rosita's Bridge is dedicated to Rosita Fernandez, a popular Tejano singer who sang in Fiesta Noche del Rio every summer for 25 years here at the Arneson. Over here on my right-hand side, we have the Briscoe Western Art Museum. The Briscoe Western Art Museum opened up in 2013 and is named after former Texas Governor Bill Briscoe and his wife, Jamie. Inside the Briscoe, you can find Santa Ana's ceremonial sword, Pancho Villa's last known saddle, as well as a refurbished stagecoach. Before it was the Briscoe, it was the Hertzberg Circus Museum, and before that, it was the San Antonio Public Library. If you look at the building, you can kind of tell it used to be a library at one point. Alright, this bridge we're approaching right here is one of the lowest bridges we're going to pass underneath. This bridge does have sharp edges, and is the main reason why I ask everybody to please remain seated. We all know nothing good comes of hitting your head on a sharp edge, right? This is a Rosetta Truss Bridge. There's only 10 of these in the United States. 5 of them are here in San Antonio. These bridges were built in the late 1800s in Berlin, Connecticut. So over here on my right-hand side, we have Marriage Island. Marriage Island is called this because of the heart shape the roots of the tree make. We perform over 300 weddings a year on this little island. The sculpture on the island is called Father Massenet's Table. It was done by Rolando Borseño in 1991 to commemorate Father Damien Massenet's first Catholic Mass here on the river in 1691. All right, we're now entering into Old Mills Crossing. Old Mills Crossing was a popular spot in the 1800s for settlers to cross the river because of its low waters and hard-packed soils. They'd also stop and water their horses here while they made use of the mill that used to be where the Westin is now located over here on my right-hand side. Inside the Westin, you can actually find artifacts from the 1700s on display in their lobby and in their restaurants. So if you're in the street, you'll find some here. Over here on my left-hand side, this tall building with the U.S. flag on top is the Tower Life Building. The Tower Life Building was built in 1929 by the Young Brothers, and at the time was called the Smith & Young Building. The Young Brothers are very superstitious, so they placed gargoyles along the top and grotesques at the bottom to help ward off evil spirits and bad business. Of course, that didn't go so well because later that year, the stock market crashed and the Great Depression began. They spent $3 million building this building and ended up selling it for 10 cents on the dollar. If you look directly ahead of us, this red building with the green roof, that is the Bexar County Courthouse. The Bexar County Courthouse was completed in 1897. It's one of the oldest still functioning courthouses in the state of Texas. Its Gothic Romanesque revival style is done with granite and red sandstone that's native to Texas. And inside the building, they have some gorgeous marble floors throughout. So if you're into architecture or want to check it out, they're open Monday through Friday till 5 p.m. They are a functioning courthouse after all. Over here on my right-hand side, we have the International Center. The International Center houses the trade offices of the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. Also, Visit San Antonio has their offices here, and here at river level, we have one of our two marinas that we store some of our 43 boats in. As we go past the entrance, you can kind of peek inside and check it out. It's not very pretty in there, not a lot to see. Boats. All right, guys, I'm going to honk my horn. I just like to let people know, because I know some people don't do such loud noises, so. That's just to let cross traffic know we're coming out. This green light here does not necessarily mean go. It just lets us know that the floodgate here is down and we can proceed safely. This is floodgate 4. It comes up from the bottom of the river like a hatch. Alright, so this part of the river we're entering into is the man-made flood control channel, the second part of the river that is man-made. It extends from floodgate 4 to floodgate 3. All the rest is natural. So in 1921, we had a very devastating flood here in downtown San Antonio. The waters reached 9 feet above street level, several lives were lost, and millions of dollars in damages were caused. So the city of San Antonio got together with the Army Corps of Engineers and developed the plans and built the flood control channel. This consists of the channel itself as well as the 5 floodgates up and down the river, and we have not had a flood here in downtown San Antonio since. This part of the river is 15 feet deep and is the deepest part of the San Antonio River. Alright, coming up going to be on my left-hand side, we have Main Plaza. Up in Main Plaza is the San Fernando Cathedral. As we go past, you might be able to peek out a little bit through the trees. It's a little hard to see, but you know, if you look real hard, you can see it. It's easier to see in the wintertime for sure. The San Fernando Cathedral was founded in 1731 by a group of families from the Canary Islands. It's one of the oldest Catholic communities here in the United States. It's also the heart of San Antonio. So the city was built around the cathedral and Main Plaza area. Every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 9, 9:30, and 10 p.m., they have a free light show on the facade of the cathedral called San Antonio Saga. So if you guys are going to be here later on tonight, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a really cool light show. Bless you. Alright, this big tree that's directly in front of us here, this is the Ben Milam tree. The Ben Milam tree is over 300 years old, stands at 110 feet in height, and has a circumference of 25 feet. So legend has it that a Mexican sniper sat in the branches of the tree and shot prominent Texas revolutionary Ben Milam in 1835. All right, we're now going to be entering into Floodgate 3. Floodgate 3 comes down like a guillotine, but much slower. It rains pretty heavily here in downtown San Antonio. The waters get pretty close to the top of the sidewalk. They'll bring this floodgate down and let the waters flow out the other end of the horseshoe. Okay, coming up here on my right-hand side, we have the Esquire Tavern. The Esquire Tavern opened up in 1933, right at the end of Prohibition. It's the oldest bar on the Riverwalk, and they have the longest bar top in the state of Texas at 100 feet. So legend has it, when they opened up at 12:01 a.m. the day after Prohibition ended, they were fully stocked and ready to serve. I was also told that during Prohibition they were a barbershop. People would go in to get their haircut and come out drunk. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this does complete our tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remain seated until we come to a complete stop and I have tied off my boat. Look around you. Make sure you don't forget any of your belongings. If you do, we do hold them at location till the end of the night. After that, you can find them on eBay. And remember, tips are allowed. They
Thank
are
you.
accepted.
See you
Greatly
next time.
appreciated. We're job well done, guys.
I hope you
Thank
enjoy
you so very,
the
very
river
much.
walk. Thank you.
You give them cash to get cash? You don't?